celebrate the academic success of our students. Let the candidates for Alpha Chi membership be admitted. So pleased to see all of you here today to celebrate in a public way the academic achievements you have attained in your time at Waldorf University. We're proud of you, and we hope you feel fulfilled, too, with what you've achieved. Alpha Chi is pleased to welcome this class of inductees into a fellowship of well over 400,000 members over some 300 colleges and university chapters. These chapters will induct more than 12,000 members this year and will promote scholarly achievement and high character on their campuses as well as in the academic community at large. Members of Alpha Chi, identified as ranking in the top 10% of the junior and senior classes, represent the best undergraduate scholarship in all academic fields in their institutions. Alpha Chi is a member of the Association of College Honor Societies, a group of 67 societies meeting rigorous standards regarding student membership and governance. Most ACHS societies represent specialized disciplines, and a few others focus on leadership. Among general honor societies, inducting members from all fields, Alpha Chi is distinctive in its commitment to involving student members in the full range of operation of the society. This begins at the local chapter level, where all offices are filled by students, and it continues to the regional and national level, where students are elected to join faculty sponsors on governing boards. One of last year's graduating seniors, Nolan W. Reynolds, was elected to the national board last spring, for example. With chapters in 45 states and Puerto Rico, Alpha Chi is divided into 7 regions. Each spring, Alpha Chi usually meets in a national convention in a major city of cultural or historic interest. In 2025, the convention will actually be online. It will actually be online, however, spread over 2 weekends in April. It's going to be some kind of interesting online format where they have these different rooms, and some are game rooms and social groups, and some are academic presentations. So I hope that some of you will consider maybe a project that you're working on now or next semester that you can propose to send it into the conference. It might be an interesting experience to see what it's like to be in an academic conference that's online rather than in person. There is next spring also an Upper Midwest Honors Society conference in Mankato, Minnesota, the next week, or like around the same time if you'd like to go in person, but it's not this time. According to the website, in 2026, the Alpha Chi convention will be in a city you won't want to miss. Or not city, but it's usually something great like Phoenix, Arizona, or Seattle, Washington, or New York or something. The convention program features scholarly or creative presentations by students, and Alpha Chi heavily subsidizes attendance to encourage students to benefit from such an extraordinary experience. The Society also provides scholarships and fellowships for undergraduate and graduate student members. The largest stipends are for national awards, but the 7 regions also sponsor scholarship competitions as well. Waldorf students in recent years, such as former presidents Nolan W. Reynolds and Nick Farkas, have successfully applied for and won scholarships for either their Waldorf senior year or for graduate school. Due dates for scholarships are in February, so it's a good time now to start thinking about what project you want to propose. In addition, we strive to promote scholarly research on the Waldorf campus. One of the ways we do this is to offer two $500 grants each year for students pursuing research in their fields of study. Students can use the grant money for drum heads and musical scores, for library books, for royalties for dramatic or musical performance, for travel to a conference, for printing photographs, purchasing camera lenses, or for the other materials you might want to use for your academic endeavors. This past week, we awarded this year's two grants, one to Jillian Carter for her senior thesis, a library exhibit about dark fantasy genre of literature, and the other to Shanoza Sabarhojareva for her biology project entitled Assessing the WNT inhibitor HQDA for a copper-dependent second mechanism of anti-cancer activity. At least you know it's anti-cancer. Today, the new inductees will be receiving certificates of membership. The gold seal on membership certificates bears the date February 22nd, 1922. As you can see, we celebrated our centennial a couple years ago. In 1922, which is Alpha Chi's birthday, representatives from 5 Texas universities and colleges met to organize a society to honor high academic achievement among students. When you sign your name today, you join a company of more than 400,000 students from diverse backgrounds, academic disciplines, and centers of higher learning who have affirmed the ideals of Alpha Chi. We are pleased to add you to this growing number of outstanding scholars and trust that you will continue to make scholarship effective work here. And now, let's listen to music performed by one of our senior Alpha Chi members, Ethan Hexman, accompanied by music professor Melissa Phillips.
Votre coche plus vulgaire, Seigneur. Thank you very much, Ethan. That was superb. Now, I have the distinct honor and privilege of introducing to you this year's 2024 Dr. Carol Fisher Memorial Professor of the Year Award, as chosen by, nominated by members of Alpha Chi, but decided upon by the entire student body. And I have to congratulate you all for the perfect choice in Dr. Elaine Bossert of the Psychology Department. Now, for those of you who might be perhaps unfamiliar, Dr. Carol Fisher, after whom this award is named, was a dear, dear biology colleague of ours who we sadly lost during the coronavirus pandemic back in February 25th, 2022. She was a tireless advocate for students like those sitting here and in the back. She loved nothing more than serving the academic and simply the student-like needs of every single one of us, as a friend, as a colleague, as a mentor, and as an instructor. And I can think of no better embodiment of Dr. Fisher's legacy than Dr. Elaine Bossert. Dr. Bossert earned her PhD in psychology from the University of Iowa, and it was also at the University of Iowa that she earned her Bachelor of Science in Psychology and Sociology. And when I think of that, we were probably down in Iowa City at the exact same time as, I don't know if you can tell by the robes, but our paths never crossed. When I think about all those missed opportunities for great conversations, it absolutely breaks my heart. Especially when I got to know her more and got to discover about her research interests, which lie in social psychology and decision-making, and especially with regard to the processing and judgment with regard to external information and the extent to which that influences decision-making. Now, I think that an introduction should always match the speaker, the introductee, and so I'll just be blunt and say, I don't know, I think Waldorf would cease to function without Professor Bossert, but, no pressure, but she would never ever want you to know that. She's as uncomfortable receiving compliments and accolades as I am, and so without further ado, let me simply say that to her friends, to her students, Dr. Elaine Bossert will always be the boss lady. Please welcome Dr. Elaine Bossert.
Yeah, so that's going to be hard to follow, I think, and I think my little speech here is probably going to highlight exactly what David just commented about me. Like, yeah, it's fun to be walking around with my big shoes on and acting all tough, but don't always really like the spotlight actually shining on me, so thank you for that. It'll lead it nicely, I think. So, well, my main objective today is to really help honor and celebrate the hard work that you all have put in reaching this point thus far. It's pretty clear you are all excellent students and you're going to continue to achieve great things. Slide this over. But I do want to ask you a few questions. Okay. So show of hands, and this is mostly, kind of student-oriented, but anyone in the room can also raise their hands and participate. Okay. How many of you are involved in some kind of athletics, fine arts, pillar, something like that? Pretty good number there. Okay, we are very heavily activity students, if you're not aware. How many of you hold a leadership position of some kind? Still a fair few, yeah. How many of you are involved in at least one student or community organization? Yeah. How many of you would self-describe as something like driven or motivated? Okay, more hands. And how many of you maybe would be willing to admit you have just a touch of a fear to fail? Yeah. It's not just you, it's many of us, including myself. I always kind of have been that way, and I probably always will be that way, at least to a certain extent. And in higher education, we sometimes put a pretty big prize on being smart, being successful, not failing. And it can certainly feel like a failure. It's just not ever an option. But I'm going to tell you something I wish someone would have told me a long time ago. Everyone's going to fail at some point. If you haven't yet, I'm going to be the bearer of the bad news for you. It's going to happen in some way, some shape, some form, somewhere in your future. And when it happens, you might, unfortunately, feel pretty bad about it. You might feel disappointed, you might feel frustrated, you might even reach a point of despair, but it is normal, and perhaps even a necessity for life. So the interesting part for me on this topic is when the focus shifts from this fear that we have of failure to being open to failure. And when we're open to the possibility of both success and failure, which my psych and psych adjacent students will know is what we call in research methods falsifiability, we are no longer held back from taking risks or pursuing our biggest dreams. Or to put it another way, when we fail, we are not simply falling short, we're learning, we're growing, and maybe even getting stronger. So think about the most successful people that you know. One could argue that I am an example of success by the nature of you nominating and awarding me this title, by the nature of me achieving my degrees and getting a job in the field that I wanted to pursue. That's pretty successful for a lot of people. But I'm going to also tell you a story. So once upon a time, there was a young woman who wanted to go to grad school and become a researcher. She got accepted and started working in the lab, and she loved it. It was fantastic. And for a couple of years, this was all that she focused on. She was learning and growing through research. She was networking and making these connections for her future. Eventually, she wanted to work in a think tank, which is really just a fancy way for sitting in a lab, dreaming big, doing the studies, and writing them up all the time, every day. But during her third year of grad school, she added teaching assistant to her duties, mostly because she needed the income, and excitedly submitted her comprehensive evaluations, which is the big test that graduate students go to, and it mostly included grant writing and proposals of research. Okay. Her comps didn't go as planned, and while she did pass, it felt like she had utterly failed because she was told her research ideas were not worth pursuing. That was a little harsh. It rocked her world, put her in a slump, because if she wasn't good at research, then what was she good at? And what would she do with her life? Thankfully, she had a mentor who sat her down, looked at her, and simply asked, "What do you want to do with your degree?" And when she didn't have an answer anymore, he asked, "Well, what do you like to do?" And despite having previously gone on record saying, quote, "If I wanted to be a teacher, I would have been an ed major," her mind shifted in that moment, and she replied, "Teaching."
So her mentor told her to pursue it. And while she didn't completely give up research, she immersed herself in teaching and found her place. Because turns out, college level teaching is a lot different than K-12 teaching, and it fit her perfectly. At the time, did she feel like the world was ending? Yeah. Did she feel like she failed? Oh yeah. But did she take the opportunity to step back, reassess, and move forward in a way that turned out maybe even better than she had ever imagined? Absolutely. So hopefully, if you're not following exactly what I'm saying, you're figuring out this is me, and this is my story, right? That external feedback and the influence that people have sometimes is really important because you don't even know it yourself, right? Compared to those around me, my high-achieving, super stubborn self, who would always set goals and always meet them exactly as I thought they were going to go, suddenly felt like that complete failure since the exact path I had laid out before me had not gone as planned. I fell behind the 8 ball, especially compared to my peers, who seemed to have apparently passed with flying colors, and a pessimistic outlook because I already spent 5, 6, 8, if you want to stretch it a little bit further, of my adult life planning for exactly that point. That simple conversation that I had with my mentor that didn't focus on what went wrong, but instead on what was going well, flipped the script for me, and it allowed me to take a step back and recognize what other options lay before me if I was willing to accept the, quote, failure and move forward. And many years later, I'm here. I'm full-time, tenured professor of psychology. I get to have some fun in my job, and I get to love every single minute I spend with my students because I failed. It's pretty good. So as I reflect on that failure in my life, I'm reminded of reality TV, which I know is going to sound a little weird, but my students know that I love reality TV. And a reality TV persona named Gia Gunn once said, "What you want to do is not necessarily what you're gonna do." So if I might appropriate that quote, I think it serves as a good reminder that life is full of the unexpected. No matter how much you carefully plan, our short and long-term goals may not always turn out the way we imagine, but it's precisely in those moments of uncertainty, and I'll get back to David's comments on my research, that we have the chance to explore new paths, discover hidden talents, and to create a more meaningful life. So failure isn't a dead end. And even if it was, you don't have to be afraid of taking a U-turn. Instead, embrace failure as a natural and necessary part of your life. Yes, achievement makes us feel great, like today. This is amazing. But you should always celebrate progress, no matter how small it is. And surround yourself with those who are willing to accept your successes and failures. Because if you only see failure as an option to avoid, instead of embracing it as a necessity, you will never take that critical first step onto the path that will lead you exactly where you need to be. Thank you.
Let the candidates for membership now be presented.
Honored sponsor, I present to you these candidates for membership in the Iowa IOTA chapter of Alpha Chi. These students have fulfilled all requirements for this high recognition. Their achievements indicate that they are progressing towards the ideals of our society, truth, and character. I recommend them for the affirmation of allegiance to Alpha Chi and their subscription of the Constitution.
Scholarship is the power of the mind to dispel ignorance and superstition through the fearless investigation of and search for truth. Because of your scholarship and character, you have been invited to bring your candles, which symbolize learning, and light them at the central candle here, which symbolizes knowledge. In the name of Alpha Chi, come forward and light your candles while you repeat the affirmation of membership. Then affix your names to the Constitution of this society. Let cross.
I pledge to uphold the purposes of Alpha Chi, striving to make its ideals my ideals in scholarship and in service.
Isabel Gibbs in absentia. Jillian Carlos.
I pledge to uphold the purposes of Alpha Chi, striving to make its ideals my ideals in scholarship and in service.
Anna Longhem.
I pledge to uphold the purposes of Alpha Chi, striving to make the ideals my ideals in scholarship and in service.
Kaylin Markson.
I pledge to uphold the purposes of Alpha Chi, striving to make its ideals my ideals in scholarship and in service.
Alexandra Meyer.
I pledge to uphold the purposes of Alpha Chi, striving to make its ideals my ideals in scholarship and in service.
John Shaw.
I pledge to uphold the purposes of Alpha Chi, striving to make its ideals my ideals in scholarship and in service.
Paige Spatorico.
I pledge to uphold the purpose of Alpha Chi, striving to make its ideals my ideals in scholarship and in service.
Arnolder Stevenson.
I pledge to uphold the purposes of Alpha Chi, striving to make its ideals my ideals in scholarship and in service.
Fellow students, I pronounce you now members of Alpha Chi and welcome you to the fellowship of the Society of Scholars. You should wear the recognition pin for 1 week when you are on campus, not for self-glorification, but to avoid in making the aims and ideals, but to aid in making the aims and ideals of Alpha Chi better known in this center of education. I charge you who have taken this solemn affirmation of membership to guard with due diligence the scholarship of this university, the honesty and integrity of its scholars, and the moral and religious ideals of your alma mater. I congratulate you who are now recognized as having received the light of your alma mater in reality as well as in symbol. Cherish and use it well as a sacred possession and responsibility. Let us now unitedly declare our purpose by repeating together the motto of Alpha Chi: you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
You may now extinguish your candles and join with all members of the Iowa Iota chapter of Alpha Chi and with all members of Alpha Chi throughout the world in pronouncing and promoting the aims, purposes, and ideals of our illustrious fellowship. We will now bring forth this year's new officers. the officer-elect of the Iowa Iota chapter of Alpha Chi present themselves before the sponsors and the chapter for their official induction into office.
The Iowa Iota chapter of Alpha Chi is composed of the best student intellectual life in this institution of learning. Membership in this society is the highest academic honor to be achieved on this campus. And official leadership in this chapter is a high privilege and great responsibility. Therefore, as we are assembled on this important occasion, surrounded by our symbols and colors, we desire to impress upon you, our duly elected officers, the high worthiness of our society and the great responsibility of your leadership in it. The success and advancement of the Iowa Iota chapter of Alpha Chi are largely dependent on you as its leaders. The spirit of scholarship in this institution of learning will be enhanced and deepened, or will be impoverished and diminished through you as its official representatives on our campus. This responsibility is not to be assumed lightly, but is to be undertaken advisedly, earnestly, and in full devotion to the laudable aims of Alpha Chi, the stimulation, development, and recognition of scholarship, and those elements of character that make scholarship effective for good. This chapter, through its members, has chosen you as its officers, believing you best fitted to fill these places of responsibility and most worthy to lead its activities during your tenure of office.
Devin Scott, will you, as the duly elected president of the Iowa Iota chapter of Alpha Chi, assume the chief responsibility for promoting its welfare and devote your abilities to making this society the greatest possible force for good in this institution? Will you, in your personal and official acts, hold high the ideals of Alpha Chi and perform well all your duties as its leader? If so, answer, I will. May the strength of wisdom support you. Ethan Hexham, will you, as the vice president of this chapter of Alpha Chi, strive to acquit yourself in a manner that will enable you to be prepared to serve in the president's stead? And will you, on and off the campus and within this chapter, strive to promote the ideals of this society? If so, answer, I will.
I will.
This hand clasp confirms you in your loyalty to the opportunities and responsibilities of your office.
Macy Stratton. A society on a university campus is known for the activities it hosts for itself and for other members of the campus community. It will be your privilege, as well as your duty, to plan and announce events and to engage other members in service to Alpha Chi. Will you strive to advance the presence of our organization on our campus, as well as promote the cause of scholarship by faithful service to your office? If so, answer, I will. This hand clasp confirms you in your loyalty to the opportunities and responsibilities of your office. Jillian Carlos, will you, as historian of this chapter of Alpha Chi, accept the duties of your office, conserve and catalog all records of the chapter, preserve and publish our legacy and traditions, perform faithfully all other duties of your office, and endeavor to advance the cause of scholarship on this college? If so, answer, I will. This hand clasp confirms you in your pledge to offer faithful service as you aid in preserving the work of this society.
We would also like to announce that Hannah Ferguson will be the secretary of our organization, but she was not able to be with us today. However, she was inducted last year, so. Now, we will have a welcome from this year's new president.
Hi guys, bear with me. I'm not a big fan of public speaking, but I just wanted to truth and character defines our mission. In Alpha Chi, we go beyond celebrating academic excellence. We inspire our members to channel their creativity and curiosity into meaningful scholarship that serves the greater good. Our mission includes enhancing the collegiate experience by developing talents through presentations at conferences, through competing through scholarships, grants, and by cultivating leadership skills through engaging in chapter activities. Together, we aim to make a positive impact on the world, influencing it for better while fostering a community of scholars committed to lifelong learning and service. As new members, you embody the spirit of mentorship and inspiration that defines our organization. Each of you brings unique talents and perspectives, and we hope that you will share them generously with your peers. In your time with us, we encourage you to embrace the opportunity for growth and collaboration. Let your passion for learning shine and strive to elevate not only your own academic pursuits, but also those of your fellow members. Remember, your education is a powerful tool. Use it wisely and make a meaningful impact on the campus and beyond. As academic mentors and leaders, you have the chance to shape the future of our community. Together, let's cultivate an environment where curiosity thrives, ideas flourish, and everyone is inspired to reach new heights. Welcome once again, and we cannot wait to see all that you guys are going to accomplish in your time here.
And now, it's time for the Alpha Chi song. There are a few sheets of music here if anybody doesn't have one on there. To get one. Oh, and thank you to Kaylin for helping lead us in singing. At the very last minute, thank you, Peggy, for filling up. Okay, everybody stand up. We'll sing together. Thank you all for coming to celebrate the wonderful experiences and challenges and successes that our students have had in their academics here at Walden. We welcome all of you as our new members. And we'd like to ask you to stay for a reception to follow the ceremony. We also would like to have a group photo, so if anybody would like to take some pictures, we'll come and stand